I want an AutoZam.
No, you don't.
But the doors.
Not unique.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not.
But only the DeLoreans have the...
There are other cars that have wacky doors.
No, but I need an AutoZam.
There are cheaper, more practical, in some respects faster, and big enough for American inseams, small Japanese cars out there.
But the AZ1 is the best for...
And be honest, if you're a JDM weeb, once you finally get a right-hand drive Japanese domestic sports car, your bulge is going to be big enough to necessitate more legroom anyway.
Mr. Regular's back from vacation and I'm glad he's here. 'Cause doing this alone for 2 weeks, it made my death feel near.
No, I'm getting an AZ1.
Look, what is your emotional need? I have this conversation with people who ask the "what kind of car should I get?" question. And to answer it, I ask them 3 specific questions. Number 1, what must the car carry? Because if it's not much, the answer to the car you need may be a motorcycle. Number 2, where must the car go? In other words, what sort of environment must this car traverse? You may need snow, you may need all-wheel drive. If it's just the city, well, then a sedan might be the appropriate thing. And number 3, what emotional needs must the car fulfill? Maybe you have a heightened sense of patriotic nationalism, in which case then you do need the Cummins diesel. And it sounds like this straw man that I'm building here needs a car that will impress that multi-hair-colored manic pixie dream girl he's hovering around. Fine. That's a reason. It's not a healthy reason for importing a car, but at least it's an honest reason. But we're gearheads giving car advice, not therapists. Go see one of them to correct your self-sabotaging behavior. We're here to put you in the right car. And if being cool to non-car people is your goal, the Toyota Sera is your car. 1990 Toyota Sera. For the man who looks like he isn't taking college seriously enough. 1990 Sera. For the guy who still thinks he's gonna get rich making webcomics. This is a front-engine, 2-door coupe with a 4-cylinder layout of an engine and 4 valves per cylinder. It makes 108 brake horsepower, and it makes 97 foot-pounds of torque. As far as modifications go, Joe added thicker rods that typically went into the Starlet Turbo. He also added more understated speakers because the previous owner in Japan added these tacky rear speakers. They look terrible there. The radiator has been recently replaced. In addition, Joe repainted the car. Originally it was silver, but he went for the aesthetic 90s teal. I like it. That's about it. In a general sense, the Toyota Sera has a thicker head gasket and higher compression than the Toyota Tercel, but it's really the same engine. I'm going to come back to this a lot. The engine is the 1.5-liter 5E FHE, the same as the Tercel. It has all the best parts of the Toyota E-Series motors, even though they get a bad rap for being more economy than performance. But for being the same as the Tercel, they all have that Tercel reliability. Although appearance-wise, this car basically looks like Inspector Gadget's Gadgetmobile entering fast mode. On the other hand, the AutoZam is powered by a micro-turbo whose spare parts are only available with a cheat code that only Kate Shaw knows, but she won't tell you what it is because you gave her a rainbow during sustained silent reading and now her shoes won't lace properly. You can't go into AutoZone and get parts for an AZ1, but you can for a Toyota Sera because most of this is Tercel stuff. It's also Toyota Paseo stuff, and it's also Toyota Starlet stuff, but we didn't get the Starlet in the US. But you still got 2 base cars to go off of. Acceleration of the Sera is Tercel-esque, swift for the 90s, or as Tercel ad copy said, zippy. How zippy? Well, top speed is 121 miles an hour, and you're going to be tacking out at 6,400 RPM there. But let's reiterate something real quick. This thing is small. Curb weight is 1,984 pounds, and it's just under 13 feet long. It's not as small as a K car, but it does beep when you back up. It's a Japan thing, Some cars in New Zealand do this, those imports. You put them into reverse and it tells you you're in reverse inside the car, beeping up like it's a cement truck or something like that, despite being smaller than a guy trying to pick a fight after a Rocky movie. If anything, the sides feeds into the mistaken notion that the Toyota Sera is a K car, but this is not a K car because the engine is too large and the car is too large. The Toyota Sera will maintain 70 miles an hour without stressing that engine, while the AZ1, that's not really meant for that. Joe, the owner, uses this Sera as a commuter, and it does the job perfectly because that's what Toyota designed the Sera to do. This was built during Japan's hyper-ballin' stacks-on-stacks period where any pitched idea was green-lit. Commuter car with butterfly doors? With twin gas struts each? Sure. Make it look racy, but surprise, it's really soft. Really soft. Well, brilliant. It's aesthetically pleasing in that replica car at an anime convention kind of way, with the rear opening window and the tantalizing red button for a shift lock, as if Ren and Stimpy didn't teach us enough about the dangers of red buttons. And on the subject of aesthetics, Joe's Sera is the same car that's represented in Beam NG. So if you're playing that video game and you have the Toyota Sera in it, this is the one that was scanned. They took measurements and did the physical files and sent them to an Argentinian programmer who made the model, and then uploaded it online for people to use in the game. So give it a whirl if you're in the mood. I don't think I've ever been in a car more badly in need of a larger heater core and more defroster vents, simply because body heat fogs up the ceiling, because this is all glass. Just while sitting in the parked Sera, you run the risk of having an officer tap on the window under the expectation that you're doing the old Z-axis thrust in a car that's hardly big enough to ride steel force at Doney Park. Joe is 6'2", and he still gets about 2 inches of head clearance, which is nice, but you don't get much room for your knees unless you were to swap out for a smaller steering wheel. For whatever it's worth to know, the doors for the McLaren F1 were apparently based off the Toyota Sera because Gordon Murray saw his neighbor's Sera and decided the car he was designing needed to have doors like this. And that's not the end of its connection to racing either. This car was a Formula D chase car behind an LS-swap BMW. As far as handling itself, nope. This car floats. It rides like a car much larger than itself, and it rides better than a Tercel. Everything is nicely dampened. There's a lot of suspension travel. You won't do crazy highway pulls in this, but it does accelerate with some eagerness. It accelerates like a local finding out there's been a leak at Trogue's Brewery, and suddenly old Roger goes from giving the wife the old couple's colon cleanse and grabs the nearest soup pot to gather as much Troganator as he can hold. And that brings me back to that straw man weeb I was smacking around earlier. You want a car to bamboozle Ramona Flowers into believing you jet set to Kyoto biannually. If you use an AutoZam AZ1 to do this, here's what's gonna happen. She's gonna go, it's loud in here. It's cramped. What's that buzzing sound? Oh, don't drive so fast. I don't feel safe. And then she'll fake a phone call to get out of there. But in a Sera, the inside is open and airy. And all this glass on the windows and glass on the roof, glass on the front, glass on the back. You're not boxed in this. And the doors are easier to open and close than one on an AutoZam. And butterflies are nicer than seagulls. The visibility, panoramic. And you can see the sky or the stars, and the ride is smooth. The car doesn't feel dangerous, therefore you don't feel dangerous, Therefore, third date. And a car like this gets looky-loos. The happy kind. While we were filming this, a man came up and asked what we were up to, but not in an accusatory way. He wasn't one of those, "What are you doing, guys?" He was just utterly confused, but completely delighted to see this strange, happy, curvy car with this doors like little wings. And some small talk and a handshake later, he departed, and we became one of his stories that day. This car is timeless in the way that it makes it feel instantly dated, but instantly recognizable. I mean, the Toyota badge helps. You know, like anything denim. And it starts happy conversations because we live in an age where people don't have conversations like they used to. You see a couple out on a date and the only words that pass between them come once an hour after each desperate selfie attempt. That's terrible. Don't post that. Is that a hyperbolic example? Yep. But look, a car like the Toyota Sera is a conversation piece. A very inexpensive to import conversation piece. And a reliable conversation piece. And one that gets good mileage and you're happy to drive every day. And anything capable of starting an actual, genuine conversation between two people is more than the sum of its triumphs or its shortcomings.
Who I am when I drive you is not the person that I hoped I'd be. I would like to think I'm not the man who drove last Christmas Eve. But if I were, would it be easy to believe? 'Cause now you're gone, and I know that I'll feel so alone. And in my heart, I'll grieve. But potential is just wasted energy, and that's what you are to me.